Okay, so out of all of this comes the central dogma of life, and this was proposed by Francis Crick of Watson and Crick fame, and Francis Crick was the one who formalized saying the central dogma of how life and information flows is DNA to RNA to protein. And that became defining. An entire generation of babies were told that at birth. This is the flow of information. It has been violated in all sorts of interesting ways, which will dominate a lot of what comes. But this was the central dogma. One way in which it's violated, and again, this notion is not DNA to RNA, but the notion of whatever your DNA sequence is, whatever the gene is, whatever structure of a protein it codes for, the flow of information is going to be from DNA, RNA to protein, DNA as running everything. Note the importance of that and the very statement of this as the central dogma, the canonical flow of information in life. It all starts with DNA. DNA is the one sitting here deciding when information is going to flow from DNA to RNA to DNA as knowing what's happening. And a lot of what we will see shortly is DNA knows squat. DNA is not making a whole lot of decisions there. But one simplistic way in which central dogma went down the tubes in the 1970s or so, and one that's tangential here, but just as a first blow against central dogma, one of the things that's interesting is there are things called viruses, and what viruses do for a living is get into organisms. Viruses, in the classical form, being little smidgens of foreign DNA, which are able to get into the DNA of your own, hijack the processes there, and make the cell function for its own parasitic, vicious needs. And so you're changing the starting step of how the central dogma of life, and thus you're going to change RNA and protein, all of that. In the 70s, it became apparent there was one weirdo viral world of viruses made out of RNA. This intermediate form. All sorts of people were extremely upset about this and tried to ostracize the scientists who came up with this and told them there's no way. But eventually what was shown in Nobel Prize winning glory was there's a class of enzymes. Enzymes, they pop up, a class of enzymes that could take the RNA information and turn it back into DNA viral information, and then it does its thing. Huge blow to the central, here's information running from an RNA virus, somehow being reversed back to a DNA form, and thus these are called retroviruses. Insert in the DNA, and off they go from there. So this was a major blow. Everybody eventually came to terms with this, but it still is a minor footnote in this Crickian world of everything flows from DNA. It is the Bible, it is the lawgiver, it is the Holy Grail, it is where it all starts. So stay tuned.